the real Jesus. And what we mean by that is, let me put it this way. I'm afraid in our culture, especially, we tend to take everything we can and conform it to what we want. Does that make sense? I've noticed we'll take everything and just conform it to fit us. And I'm afraid, especially in America, that we've taken Jesus and conformed him to fit into our beliefs, our values, our culture, our desires, our own just mold, if you will. I think we have this Facebook Jesus sometimes, and it's different than what you read about. You know what I'm talking about? And we're good about conforming him into what we want and what we desire. But here's the problem with that. Jesus doesn't conform to us. In fact, Jesus transforms. There's the difference. He is not a conforming God. He is a transforming God. He transforms our heart, our lives, our soul. He transforms everything, our minds. And we are in turn not called to conform to this world, but we are called to transform this world by the power of Jesus in us. Amen? So that's where we're hitting on this real Jesus. And we're looking at Jesus through the eyes of Mark's gospel. And I chose Mark because Mark is all about action. I mean, if you read the book of Mark, the Gospel of Mark, which was the first one that was written of the four Gospels, it is action-packed. I mean, you'll find words that he loves is immediately. He uses it time and time and time again. He just goes from one thing to another, and he hits miracles and he hits actions. Why is that? Because Mark is writing to Christians, both Jew and Gentile, who are living in Rome, who are suffering under a new emperor, Nero. And Mark's trying to introduce them, again, reintroduce them to a Christ who is strong, who has authority, who not only suffered but overcame so that we can overcome. So he's introducing these Christians to this real strong, if you will, Jesus. And I want to read an account from Mark in Mark chapter 5 today. In verse 1 it says, "So they arrived at the other side of the lake in the region of the Gerasenes. When Jesus climbed out of the boat, a man possessed by an evil spirit came out from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the burial caves and could no longer be restrained, even with a chain. Whenever he was put in chains and shackles, as he often was, he snapped the chains from his wrists and smashed the shackles. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Day and night he wandered among the burial caves in the hills, howling and cutting himself with sharp stones. When Jesus was still some distance away, the man saw him, ran to him, and bowed low before him. With a shriek he screamed, 'Why are you interfering with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In the name of God, I beg you, don't torture me.'" Yeah, it's odd that he would say that to God. Don't torture me. A man who is being tortured constantly. I mean, a man who's torturing himself is crying out to God, don't torture me. For Jesus had already said to the spirits, "Come out of the man, you evil spirit." Then Jesus demanded, "What is your name?" And he replied, "My name is Legion, because there are many of us inside this man." Then the evil spirits begged him again and again, not to send them to some distant place. There happened to be a large herd of pigs feeding on the hillside nearby. Send us into those pigs, the spirits begged. Let us enter them. So Jesus gave permission. The evil spirits came out of the man and entered the pigs, and the entire herd of about 2,000 pigs plunged down the steep hillside into the lake and drowned in the water. The herdsmen fled to the nearby town and the surrounding countryside, spreading the news as they ran. People rushed out to see what happened. A crowd soon gathered around Jesus, and they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons. He was sitting there fully clothed and perfectly sane, and they were all afraid. That's odd. The man out in the caves and the tombs, cutting himself, howling, the one they tried to subdue with chains and he would break them and smash them, that didn't scare them, but now the man is sane and now they're afraid. And then it goes on. Then those who had seen what had happened told the others about the demon-possessed man and the pigs. Don't forget the pigs. And the crowd began pleading with Jesus to go away and leave them alone. Stop right there. I'm going to read more to this so that you really get the full picture of this story. But I want to preach to you this morning, and I think it would be good if you shared with your neighbor the title of my message. And it's this: you are important. Amen. You are important. You are important. Some of y'all, I didn't see y'all look and say that to the other person. It's like you're trying to convince yourself. Like, I don't know, I've met them. No, tell them, you are important. This is something I'm really trying to get better at in my life. I think I am. This is something I didn't do real good in my younger years, but now that I'm a grandparent, it changes. And I've worked hard at being able to define what is important and what's urgent. Because a lot of people will try and bring stuff to me that are urgent. And I fell for it a lot in my life. I did. Because people would come to me, especially church stuff or church people, and everything was urgent. It needed to be dealt with right then. So I thought, and I missed out on a lot of things that were important because I got caught up in what was urgent. And there's a big difference. I've learned now, nothing against you guys. How about that? Nothing against you. Y'all actually are good, and y'all don't do this to me. Other churches I've been at would bring all this stuff, all these things, and I would drop everything for them, and I missed out on events with my kids that I shouldn't have missed out on. Yeah. And I've learned now that what is most important. Maybe it's because I'm a grandparent now. Like I said, you get a new perspective right then. When I'm holding my grandkid, everything else it doesn't matter. I've learned people can bring a lot of problems to me, and it will look important, but it's really just urgent. And most of the time, it is because they weren't prepared, and now they're in a crisis. And what's that saying? A lack of planning on your part doesn't dictate a crisis on my part. That's good for you right there to learn. I've learned if something happened to me today, there'd be another pastor up here preaching tomorrow. But my wife only has one husband. And my kids only have one dad. So I've learned more what is important in life. Jesus was good at this. Jesus was so good at defining what is important and what's urgent and focusing on what is important, because everybody brings stuff to him. Everybody bring things to him, and there's this one time that he was speaking, and the kids started running up to him, and the people around was like, "Hey, we gotta get control of this because what he's saying is important, and we need to huddle the kids and get them away from him so that we can focus on what he's saying." And Jesus stopped them at that point. He said, no, bring the kids to me. Let them come to me. Why? Because they are important, and I'm not going to lose sight of this. That you might think that something is more important, but I know what is important. And Jesus had this ability to focus on what is important. So here in this text that I read, you have Jesus going over to this Gentile area, the Gerasenes, and to a man who seems so unimportant by everyone else, wrote off by everyone else, but God knows what is in the man. Not only that, he knows what the potential is within the man. And he knows what is most important. So what everyone else ignored and said, there's more urgent things on the agenda, Jesus went over to a man because he was important. And to really understand what Jesus went through and how important this man must have been, you have to read the end of chapter 4 of Mark, because it's with the story. It wasn't that he just went over to the other side, like we find out in chapter 5. But there's something that he went through first. In Mark chapter 4, and in verse 35, it says this: as evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, let's cross over to the other side of the lake. So they took Jesus in the boat and started out, leaving the crowds behind, although other boats followed. But soon a fierce storm came up. High waves were breaking into the boat and began to fill with water. Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion. The disciples woke him up shouting, "Teacher, don't you care that we're going to drown?" When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Silence, be still." Suddenly the wind stopped and there was a great calm. Then he asked them, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" The disciples were absolutely terrified. "Who is this man?" they asked each other. "Even the wind and the waves obey." And then you have chapter 5. So to realize how important this man is, you have to realize what Jesus was willing to go through, because he knew what he'd have to go through to get to the man. Yeah. And you have Jesus here, he's doing ministry in chapter 4. He's doing ministry in Capernaum. And I found it interesting. I searched that up this morning. I even shared it with my wife. I try not to share too much with my wife because she'll say, like, just let me hear it Sunday. But I share when I was looking this up what Capernaum meant in Hebrew. It was taken from two root words, and the two root words meant village and comfortable. And I found it interesting that Jesus was willing to leave the comfort of Capernaum, where his ministry is, where he's will do most of his ministry in this area, in this one spot around he's willing to leave this comfortable place in order to cross over into enemy territory for a man who is demon possessed that needs him more than anything at that moment. And I'm thinking of this, that how important this man must have been, that Jesus is willing to cross over and not to conform the man, but to transform the man. How important he must have been. And if Jesus is willing to do that, to leave his comfort place in heaven and come down to earth for me and you into this enemy territory, if you will, to make a change in your life, to take on the cross of all things, a place of uncomfort as most as it can be. He's willing to do all of that for us. How important must we be? If he's willing to leave the comfortable in order to come to the uncomfortable place. But he's willing to do it every single time. And as he's leaving Capernaum and he tells the disciples, let's cross over. And he knows there's this storm that's going to be raging. He knows all of this that's going to happen, but he's willing to cross over. And as the storm begins to come up, and I've preached on this storm so many times, and I've caught so many areas of this before, but there's something that hit me that I never caught before. I realized before when reading this storm, when reading about this, God showed me things before, and I realized that the fact that they're going in the right direction and the wind's still going against them means that not every storm that I go through does it mean that I'm not in the will of God. Sometimes the fact that I'm facing the storm means I'm heading in the right direction. Sometimes the very fact that the wind is blowing against me is proof that I'm going where I'm supposed to go. And I know that we think that if I'm in the will of God, that everything's going to go smooth and everything will be easy, but that's not always how it is. Sometimes the very fact that you are in the will of God means that there's going to be a storm that comes up because it's going to try and keep you from being to get you out of the will of God. And I realized that before, that sometimes the storm against me is proof that I'm heading in the right direction. And so many times in the storm that happens that I begin to question him like they question him of, God, don't you care that I'm facing this? Don't you care that I'm going through this? Did you notice the language of the disciples as soon as they woke up? Christ, don't you care that we're drowning in this? Because that's always our instinct whenever I'm facing a storm, that I question God of whether he cares or not for me because I don't think I should go through the storm. And sometimes the fact that, yes, he cares, but he's also with me in it, realizing that the peace of God will always come along with it, even in the storm. Those things I always caught. Here's what hit me different this week as I'm studying this. I always looked at this from the disciples' point of view, of me in the boat with Jesus. I like that point of view. I like to be in the boat with the disciples. I like to see myself as the hero in the story. Come on, don't you? I always like to see myself that way. So I like to see myself as a disciple that's crossing the sea, fighting the storm to go rescue a man who's possessed. I like to see myself that way, but this time I saw myself a little bit different. And I thought, my goodness, there's a man over there on the other side that's going through the same storm. The same storm that the disciples are facing at this moment, he's facing the storm. He's just facing it in a cave. The same storm that's blowing, that's raging, that's drowning, that's stopping the boat. Water's pouring into the boat that the disciples are up against. the same storm this man would have faced. And I thought, sometimes the very fact that the storm is out there means that Jesus is on his way. Sometimes the storm that you're facing, and I know that you don't feel him when you're facing the storm, because sometimes it is just proof that Jesus is on his way to you, and how important you must be that the enemy would fight you with the storm, that he would battle you with the storm, that he would try and attack you to try and keep Jesus from coming, but he can't keep Jesus from coming. And it is just proof that the enemy is fighting, that Jesus is on his way to your life, because why? You must be so important that he would cross it for you. And my goodness, if he's willing to cross a storm for this man, he would go to the cross for you. How important must you be? Amen. Come on. I want to tell your neighbor, remind them again, you're important. Y'all didn't do that very good. I heard like 4 of y'all. You're important. So Jesus crosses over for a man who's living in the tombs. And this is the part of the story where it's easy to disassociate yourself from the man. Like I said, it's easy for me. I look at myself when I read this story. I catch chapter 4 in the storm because I'm one of the disciples. I get over to chapter 5, and there's this man living among the tombs, and I disassociate myself from the man. I'm still one of the disciples crossing the storm in the boat. I'm the hero. I'm coming to rescue the man. And I went through it just to get to him. And it's easy for us to disassociate ourselves because it's easy to say, well, Pastor, I'm bad, but I'm not that bad. I'm bad, but I'm not living in caves among dead people bad. I'm bad, but I'm not cutting myself bad. I'm bad, but I haven't broken chains. I'm not that much out of control. I'm bad, but I'm not that bad. And then I thought, my goodness, no, sometimes I am. Yeah, that's good. I mean, let's be honest. You don't go to dead places. Hang on. You don't retreat to places that you know are nothing but death in your life, spiritually, emotionally, relationally, but you still go. You don't find yourself living in some dead places at time to time. You never get out of control, so out of control that all of a sudden I don't know what to do. You never face that. You never lose control of your temper. You never lose control of a situation. You never deal with that. Say, well, I don't cut myself. No, but you hurt yourself, don't you? When you keep going back to things that you know hurt you. Yeah, that's good. You'll keep going back again and again and again. Some of y'all are just like this man who was chained and broke himself and chained and broke himself. You've been set free from things that you go back to, get chained up again, and you'll get free again, and you'll go back to it just again and again and again and again. The more I look at this, the more I realize I'm not the hero in this. I'm the man that's in need of a savior in this moment. I find myself, the more I read it, that I find that I'm more like the man than I thought. That I'm struggling, that I deal with the things, that I find myself going back to dead places and retreating to dead areas, that I find myself going back to things that I've been set free from, just to be bound again, that I found myself hurting myself time and time and time again. And the more I read it, I think, my goodness, maybe I am the man. And it's easy to look at it and disassociate myself, but I find that I'm more like the man than I realized. Maybe I am the guy living in tombs. Maybe that's why I had a hard time in my younger years dissociating whether this was important or urgent, and I would find myself retreating to things that were just urgent and hurting myself from things that were important. Y'all are looking at me right now, and I don't like the way you're looking at me. I'm getting some insecurities happening right now. You're hurting me. And Jesus asked the man as he comes running to him, bound by all these demons. You know, isn't that hopeful right there? If this man that's bound by all these demons, if he can run to Jesus, there's nothing the enemy can do to stop you from running to Jesus. By the way, come on. This man, he comes running to Jesus, and Jesus asked him, he said, "What's your name?" And this man says, "I'm Legion. I'm Legion, for there's many." He identifies himself by what's inside of him. I'm Legion. Legion, by the way, a legion was in Roman military terms, a legion was a military size of 6,000 soldiers. This man saying, I'm Legion, I'm many. And I wonder how many times we are defined by the different demons inside of us. Yeah. That we might not be possessed like the man, but they oppress us. Right. And they torment us. And they torture us. And we define ourselves by our fears. And we define ourselves by our anxiety. That's just who I am. In fact, we claim hold of it, don't we? It's my anxiety. Yeah. We claim it. We claim that demon. Like, well, Pastor, that's not a demon. Really? Because it says God hasn't given us the spirit of fear. Right. Yeah. So it must be a spirit that we attach that attaches to us, and we claim it. It's mine. It's mine. We might as well introduce ourselves. Who are you? I'm fear. Yeah. I'm Legion. There's many. I got many sides of me. Might define myself by my insecurities. I might define myself by my hurts. I might define myself by my failures, by my traumas. Come on, I could keep going. Do you need me to name your demons? Come on, we'll name them. We could go around the room. We'll define ourselves by our demons. We're just like Legion here, this man, and the more I look at this, again, I see myself in him. And the demons say to Jesus at this point, they're begging him, don't make us leave this area. Don't make us leave. We're comfortable here. This is our region. Don't make us leave. This is after Jesus has already said, you come out of him, and they're arguing with Jesus. I know we got to go. I know we got to go, but don't make us leave. I know we got to get out of this, but I like it here. I like this area. Tell me the devil doesn't have a stronghold on places. Come on, don't you understand this? That the devil has a stronghold. Don't you realize that they don't like to just leave. They don't like to get rid of where they've placed. They don't like to get away. That's why whenever you come to Christ, You know, the demon might leave you, but he doesn't leave the area. Or did you think that when you came to Christ, everything was going to be great all of a sudden? That all your problems would go away, that everything would just be nice, that everything would just fall into place, that it would just be like the ending of every Disney movie or Hallmark movie. It's all just going to work out at the end. As soon as I come to Christ, it's going to be beautiful. The sun comes out, little Annie starts singing. It's beautiful. That's what I think. Until I realized my demons just came out of me, but they're sticking around because they don't like to leave. Once they get a stronghold, they like to come back. They like to do what they can. They don't like to leave the area. So the demons are telling Jesus, don't make us leave the area. We made a good home here. Don't make us leave the area. And then they give Jesus a suggestion. They say, look, there's some pigs over there. They're real close by. We'll leave this man. We'll just go into the pigs. Send us to the pigs. Pigs, at least they're in the area. And Jesus grants them permission. Now I got to give a little bit of credit to the demons. They're a little smarter than I normally give them credit for, because when I read this, normally I'm looking at it and going, those stupid demons. They left the man, entered the pigs, and the pigs had enough good sense to say, hey, this ain't right. And them demons done killed the pigs that they were in. They done messed up. I mean, they could have, and then you had the invention of deviled ham, evidently, right then. Right then. Don't eat it. Don't fall for it. But I realized, man, they knew something here, because I don't know if you catch this. The loss of all those pigs is a huge economical value in that area that they just suffered. I mean, they're in Gentile territory. We like pigs. Come on. We're not like, Jews, they couldn't eat them. They still don't. But us, we eat them. I mean, we discovered bacon and ham a long time ago, and it's good. It's glorious. And they're eating, in this area, they would have sold the pigs. It would have fed Roman soldiers. They would have used them for food. They would have used them for just even sacrifices to gods. Did my mic just go off? Oh, I just can't hear myself as good. They would have used all these pigs for all these things, and the value of these pigs would have totaled, like today would have been anywhere from 2,000 pigs. That would have been an economical loss for that region of anywhere between $500,000 to $1.2 million. Now you know why the people's upset. Now you know why the people's a little taken back. Now you know why the people aren't as excited. And I saw something. I just want to show you something, that if the enemy can't get to you, he'll go after what you value to affect your relationship with God. The enemy will go after your kids. Enemy will go after your marriage. Enemy will go after your finances. The enemy will go after what you value. Think of it whenever the enemy went to God about Job. He said, look, he would turn his back on you so fast, but you've got a covering over his kids, over his family, over his possessions. If you would just lift that off of him, he would turn his back on you. Why? Because the enemy knows if he can't get to you, he'll get to what you value most. So he'll attack your family, he'll attack your marriage, he'll attack your health, he'll attack your finances, he'll attack you in every way he can in order to get to you and your relationship with God. He knows what he's doing. He knows what you value. And the people valued the pigs. And they knew this. They knew if we can't stay in the man, if we get to the pigs, the people will make Jesus leave. Because the people valued the pigs more than they valued the man. The people valued the pigs more than the man. They saw more value within the pigs at that point. And when they hear about the pigs, they come to see what has happened. And they've gathered now all around Jesus. And they see this man who used to be tormented, who used to be uncontrollable, who is now in his right mind. They see him sitting with Jesus and they're mad. And they ask Jesus to leave because they saw more value in the pigs than they did the man. I can handle the little bit, the devil I know, more than this right here. I'm used to this. I can handle this man screaming and hollering and yelling at night. I can handle him being tortured. But you leave my valued possessions alone. Stay away from my pigs. Now I wonder how many of us. Hey, worship team, will y'all come back up? I'll wrap this up. I should have named this Leave My Pigs Alone. Because I wonder how many of us have asked Jesus to leave me because we valued something more. Now, we haven't really done it all the way. I mean, we'll still come to church because that's what we want. We have community, but we put walls up between us and God, and like, well, that hurt too much. Some of us value our hurt more than our relationship with God. So people hurt us in a church, and it's like, no, I'm not going back to church again. I got hurt. Why would we do that? Because we valued the hurt more than we valued our relationship. Our pigs. We valued this. I wonder how many of us that we've let Satan get to us, the enemy get to us, because he got what we valued. What are you valuing right now? What have you put above him right now? Let me share the end of this, because it doesn't stop. There's more to it, because you find they've told Jesus, you need to leave. You've messed with enough pigs. There's more demons here, and we just got a few pigs left. No more killing our pigs. You got to get out, get back in your boat, cross back in that comfort area. We're more comfortable when you're over there. And when Jesus is getting ready to leave, you find that man who had been tormented, he's in the boat. saying, I ain't going. If you're leaving, I'm going with you. I'm going. I find this is so funny. When the demons see Jesus, they say, don't make us leave. Now the man is saying, don't make me stay. Don't make me stay with these people. Look at verse 18. It says, as Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. He's like, I'm going. He's in the boat with him right now. That would be weird. I mean, if I'm leaving today and you got in the car with me, that's weird, okay? That's just like, I'm going with you. Like, no, you're not. No. You got your own place. Don't have to go to the tombs again, but you ain't coming. But Jesus said, no. Go home to your family. Tell them everything the Lord has done for you and how merciful he has been. So the man started off to visit the 10 towns in that region and began to proclaim the great things Jesus had done for him, and everyone was amazed at what he told them. Come on, stand with me. Because I get this. Listen, I get this. When Jesus transforms your life, you don't want to go back. You don't want to go back. And listen, there's things that you shouldn't go back to. Come on, Jesus didn't say, hey, go back to the caves. No, you need to stay away from the dead places. There's things that you shouldn't go back to. And I know that you want to flee from it all. I know that whenever you want to just get a clean slate, I know that's our nature. Like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. See, I'm telling you, I'm more like the man than you think. I don't want to go back. Don't make me go back to those people. You know, and sometimes Jesus gives you the faith to go. And other times he gives you the grace to stay. And the God who delivered the man gave him the grace to stay. How beautiful that is. How beautiful that is. And it kind of goes against, because everything else, every other time, I mean, he's going up to the disciples, hey, leave it and follow me, leave it and follow me, leave it and follow me. He gets to this man and goes, I need you to stay. I need you to stay right here. You're so valuable. You're so important. I came over here just for you, and I need you to stay where you are, because I've got to work for you. Go tell others. Go tell others what God's done. Don't go back to the cave. I need you to go tell others. I need you to go tell others. You want to know how important this man was? You want to know how important this man was as he left and he went to these 10 cities, the Decapolis region, and he's sharing all about this. Jesus goes back to this area later in his ministry. He goes back to this place, and you know what he finds? He finds 4,000 people. How do you think they heard about him? They heard about him because there was a man. There was a man that others had given up on. There was a man who was tormented. There's a man who was defined by his troubles. But when he met Jesus, who transformed him, he goes and tells others, and 4,000 people gather around to hear him, to hear his message, to see what he has for them. When Jesus feeds the 4,000, that is the crowd he's feeding. The crowd that this man gets. I'm telling you, you are so valuable. You are so important. You don't know what's inside of you. God has given you the grace to stay where you are and tell others, to share with others about him. You are so important. Come on, tell your neighbor, you must be important. You must be so important. important that God would do this, that God would go to the cross for you.